Hello and welcome. We here at CF Students have the great honor and privilege of helping students and their families follow Jesus. We do this through our weekly services as well as our online content. Now, typically we have a lot of conversations with our students, and some of those topics can be pretty tough. So we are inviting some of our students and leaders to come here and have a conversation on those topics. Now, some of these topics can be sensitive in nature, so parental discretion is advised. Please like and share and subscribe to this channel to support this ministry and the impact that we are having on the lives of these students. And with that said, let's talk about it.
Really grateful for all of you here today. This nice table, all of us around. And I just really genuinely want to have a talk with all of you guys. And I want to bring something that I think you've all have gone and faced, and that's depression. And I just want to open that up and hear how that's impacted your guys' life.
Wow. I mean, has everyone in here struggled with depression?
100%.
Yeah, deeply.
I was suicidal. So I struggle every day to find a simple reason to stay alive or go through my day without being depressed, or finding a source to look to God. I trusted him, but it was hard to say, oh, everything's gonna be fine, I'm gonna find a reason to leave out of nowhere because I have God. So that was really difficult for me.
Thank you for sharing.
For many years, I felt like I wasn't loved, and I feel like it was because of just things that happened, and I feel like that was a lie from the enemy, because that's not biblical. We're all loved by the Lord.
Yeah.
So he definitely used that to get at me, and that's also that's not just a feeling I had when I was younger. It also grew into my teenagehood, because last summer I had such a bad just bad summer, because it was just so bad. I was thinking that everybody hated me, and I didn't know how to move forward. But the more I came to know the Lord, just showing me he's there for me. So
Wait, so did you hate yourself too, or was it the hate from outwards?
yeah,
'Cause I definitely felt hating myself, but not from the other side.
yeah, I definitely was looking at all my imperfections
Okay.
and was pinpointing and
Counting your flaws.
yeah, I had no
Instead of your
confidence.
blessings.
Yeah, it was bad.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
For your guys' family or friendships, did people know that you were struggling with depression? Did your friends try to maybe reach out? Did you have anyone ever come out and help?
Well, it's really difficult to let people help when you don't want the help. I struggled to even acknowledge that something was wrong, because I like to avoid my issues, something I really struggle with. So even acknowledging that something is wrong to get help is the most difficult part for me.
That's a really vulnerable point, I feel because a lot of the time it really getting help starts with awareness. And I think I also struggled with that, asking for help, or I was too maybe shy or afraid of what people might think.
Yeah.
They're they'll think a different way of me when I felt depressed, and you know what, I'll just keep it to myself type of way.
So for me, it was kind of different. I'm gonna use this to really open up. I lost my dad during 2020. I lost my aunt. I lost my grandma's sister, my dog. It was just horrible for me. And I was really going through it. My friends didn't really realize it. I just kept a fake smile, which is the worst thing you can do. 3 years straight, just fighting it, just fighting myself, just putting the blame on myself, until April 15th of this year, 3 months ago. I just really asked God for forgiveness. I just heard him every day. I would just ignore it. He calls in certain ways, he gives you signs. But I would just ignore it. And obviously I grew up in a Christian household. So yeah, April 15th, I just woke up just a completely new person. Every negative thought just gone out of my mind. He just completely replenished me. And it's something so I can't even put into words. God's peace, his wisdom, he just blessed me with everything. And yeah.
What did you feel when your family members passed away? Because that happened to me with my grandma during COVID. She passed away. So like I definitely like pulled away from God during that time. Like I was like, oh, God wouldn't do this to me. Like, what is this? Like everything's supposed to be great because I trust in God and I prayed for this. But when it didn't happen, I just kind of got let down. Is that like for you the same?
Yeah, 100% it was. I just used it like towards myself.
I feel like maybe another like word for like everything that we go to that leads up to depression, it's like triggers. Like, so like you mentioned, you lost a lot of, you know, your family members and like you also lost your grandma. Like for me, something I think that triggered depression a lot during my teenage years was getting bullied. Like going through that was like, oh man, like I feel alone, like things are really rough right now. And that really triggered it for me. But like, does anyone else, like Caitlin, do you have like anything that triggered that for you?
Well, I feel like that's a great question because I don't think I've ever really sat through trying to understand why. I feel like it's like stuff that just cultivated and cultivated and cultivated. And like you said, like you just had a fake smile.
Yeah.
But it's like for so long I had a face, you know, put a face on. And when it finally got to the point of like just bursting, I wore it on me. Like it was you could see it, you know? And I didn't know what to do. So.
I feel that. I remember my mother, she lost her mom when I was younger, and I remember just her shift. And my mom, you know, loves to praise the Lord, loves to go to church and worship. And I just saw her for like a good while. Like I'll never forget, I heard her on the phone one time talking to our pastor, and she just like, I never heard this from my mom ever. She's like, man, I don't even know like why life is worth living right now. This is just crazy. Like I lost my mom. I can't even see her because she passed away in our home country of Peru. But I would still see my mom, you know, still try to go to church, still try to be vulnerable, open up, to really face those. I think what like a lot of you guys are saying, like I think she was aware of the pain and the struggle, you know, she was just seeking that aid. And sometimes, you know, healing is a process, you know. And so, man, like I just think about like so many people that maybe are acknowledging like they're feeling that sadness, they're feeling like nobody loves me. And I think like, man, I just think about COVID, so many of us being isolated, like I think that let us know when we had like real friends. And we had like, nah, you're just my friend on Instagram, you know, you're just my friend because we hang out, you know, and things like that. And like, I just remember also like, I think for sure everyone went through a time of like depression and sadness. And I remember like I had to move to Orlando and I left Miami for a while.
Oh, wow.
And I was like heartbroken. I was like, I miss my friends, I miss those around me. And the only thing that really ever continued to pull me through those seasons until we got back to Miami was the gospel, you know, was coming back to the good news, you know, that God loves me, that even though I may feel isolated and alone, only He is the one that sustains me and really is able to help me through all those situations and my emotions and feelings, you know. And so, man, guys, thank you so much for just sharing, man, how depression has impacted your lives. And some of you guys were already talking about how you've seen just God show up in little and big ways. I just want to dive a little deeper into that, you know, like, and I don't know if anybody has like, you know, a deeper thing to talk about, but like I really would like to know, man, like how did you see God personally show up as you were going through this depression, you know?
Well, I think personally, like I tried everything else, like not literally everything else, but I tried to like find happiness in like stupid things. Like I don't know, I would distract myself with the TV or my phone. Or I'm like,
Social
I don't
media.
need,
Oh, yeah, that's a
literally
big one.
everything. I'm like, I don't need to do this. God like already let me down by like my grandma passing away. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do this on my own now. Even though like in the back of my mind, I knew you can't do that. That's not possible. So at the end, like I just kind of got drawn back, like realizing again that I just needed God because nothing else can give me happiness. It was a big realization of mine.
Wow, that's really good. Like coming to the realization that it's only God that can fulfill you or like even bring you that lasting joy that you need to get through any season. For me, I'd say, I feel like there's times in my life from like 6th grade to 12th grade where God has like been like encountering me, where I was like really going through it. And I just like, he would come and like, I would get this amazing feeling and feel like he is my savior, but then I would let that feeling go. Like I would just kind of shove him to the side and distract myself with like either phone or like social media, like Gio said. But it wasn't until I was in college where he encountered me like one last time when I was really going through it. And I was like, this is the best feeling like that I've ever had in my life. And like he was healing my heart so heavily where I was like, I just want to give my life to you. And from that moment on, like depression and anxiety and everything that I was struggling with for years, just like it felt like I could finally be healed from that by God.
What you said about how you felt like what you just said, like just finally healed. Well, last summer, like I said earlier, I remember I was gonna like spiral back into the same thoughts again of like nobody loves me, I'm hated, I suck, you know. And then God reminded me what happened in the summer. That's literally what happened. Like what came in my head. Like what happened in summer? What happened in summer? I was like, I had to sit and realize that He sustained me, you know, and His word sustained me.
Does it happen to you guys that you guys know this, but you keep struggling with depression? Like me personally, like literally this week, like before doing this video, I was like, I'm struggling so much. Maybe I shouldn't do this because like I'm not like the most motivating person to do this because I keep struggling with this. So I wanted to ask if you guys keep struggling with this. Because I know you said you're like healed, but like I don't know.
So I feel like for me, it's always been an on and off thing.
Yeah.
Where like I would just fall back into my old ways, and then I would go to Jesus, like, oh, I'm happy, then I'm back and forth,
That happens
obviously.
to me too.
I feel like everybody struggles with something differently. For me, I struggled, my main sin was lust. And once I finally decided to give that to God, just my whole life completely changed, just turned around. And day by day, my faith with Him just grow stronger and stronger and stronger until I started sharing the gospel myself, because it just built my faith and it just made me feel good, made me feel amazing. Just to let like other people know that what's real, like the truth. And yeah, it's amazing.
Wow, that's good.
And I think, so you said something very important, like, you know, as Christians, as people that, you know, we believe in Jesus, you know, we believe that, you know, our lives belong to Him and we can have joy. It doesn't mean that we still don't get affected. You know, like, I'm sure it still hurts, you know, on anniversaries and even family gatherings to see the people that you love not there, or even getting flooded with thoughts of, you know, insecurities or maybe how people think or perceive you. Like, I think we're always going to constantly struggle with that, you know?
Yeah.
I think, and I think that's like an important thing to say, just because, you know, we're not called to be fake. You know, we're not meant to be like, you know, all right, you know, no matter what comes my way, I'm just gonna smile through it. Like no, like, you know, we can look back, even Jesus, the Son of God Himself, like Jesus cried, you know, Jesus went through anxiety and so many deep things, you know, that He didn't like push away. Like, no, He embraced. And I truly believe it was so that we could also know that if Jesus faced it, we're gonna face it, you know. But I just think about that verse, you know, and just to encourage you guys, you know, Jesus let us know, right? Like the world is gonna constantly give us troubles, but then like there's a comma, and He says to the disciples, right? He says to His followers, He just says like, but take heart, because I already overcame the world. In other words, like, I think as, you know, we go through the seasons of depression and anxiety and all these things that you guys are talking about in your journey of faith, I think the Lord is truly with you guys and with all of us, teaching us, being there. And even though I think sometimes we would like it, you know, that if God could just take these thoughts, these feelings away, these circumstances, I think God is trying to teach us something so much more beautiful and deeper by taking us through it and looking back. Like, I'm sure you guys look back on all those seasons of your life and you guys can be like, God is the one that got me
God
through.
did.
God did, you know,
God
like God
did that,
did. God got me through all that. And so, man, like, just hearing what you guys have been through and hearing your guys' experiences and stories, like, it's a blessing. It's encouraging.
Yeah.
And I know God's gonna use it in so many big ways.
I like knowing that, like, we don't like know each other that well, but it's like, oh, we struggle with very similar things. And it's like, you can kind of almost find comfort in like that sense of community where it's, oh, we relate, you know? And kind of like what Rocio was asking, like, do you still struggle? And then also what Rob brought up, that Jesus did struggle, and so we will too. I like to think about the fact that we're humans and like, we're not perfect. And even though like we might be healed in some way or have joy that we've never had before, like before we were saved, we still struggle. Like for me, like I'll still relapse here and there, or I'll still have like a panic attack. And in that moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's gonna go back to where it started. And I
back
start
to the
freaking
past.
out. Yes, and I'm like, okay, like maybe I'm not healed. Maybe, I don't know, I start overthinking. I don't know
Like
if
maybe
I'm-
all I did was like erased by that.
For nothing.
Exactly.
Do you guys feel like your experiences have helped you help other people? Like I personally have friends that have depression. I feel like me like going through it helped me understand them better, so I can help them
100%.
better.
Yeah.
100%.
Especially like I think when you said that you tried everything, like and you found that only God was the thing that could help you get through it or satisfy you. Like I think about so many people, trying to find hope, trying to find that peace, or like how do I get through this? And they're trying every other thing. I think it's amazing that we can speak from a place to be like, hey, listen, like I know how this feels. I know what you're going through. I know the struggle. I know the burden. I know even maybe the lack of hope, that there may not be, but we've seen there is, and I think that's such a beautiful thing because we can speak to people where they're at, which I think that's the whole point and beauty of what we see in the gospel. Jesus stepped into our situation and became like us and felt like us.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone has to realize that God is the only way. The question is like, is it earlier or later? Like, is when the damage is like less or more? It's like me coping, like I use my phone, but some people go to like extreme, like substances and drugs. So like it would be better for them to realize that before.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like like what you said earlier about like relapsing into sin again. Like I'm gonna keep messing up. And what you said about how you feel like the Lord is bringing us in like these experiences to help other people. And I recently just had an experience like that with my friend, and she's always telling me like I don't even want to read my word because I keep doing the same thing. And it was an experience of just I had a lot of things going on on that day, and I was like, I just messed up, I messed up because I promised the Lord that I wouldn't do something, and I did it.
Yeah.
And I broke down because I was like, God, I know I'm human.
And you still forgave me.
Yeah, I was like, wow, like I couldn't believe that I was in awe of God, He was even showing me his tangible, his presence, like, just going there with him. And I was able to tell my friend, I relate now, like I understand deeper and deeper and deeper. Wow. So, and also it reminded me of when Paul was saying how there's a thorn in his side. And it's like, I was asking the Lord, why do you let us go through bad stuff? Why can't it just be, good? But it's like, if we don't go through the bad stuff, then how will we ever notice and see God? How will we ever depend on him?
I like
how he wants to. How he wants for us to see him and depend on him,
I like that a lot.
Real faith.
Yeah.
Real
You gotta,
faith, like
it has to rain before the sun comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to grow more so we can help more people. Like not just
Yeah.
stay in the same place spiritually.
Yeah,
So I think
not be
that's really important.
stagnant.
Yeah.
If you guys could give a word of encouragement to someone right now going through depression, what's like the one thing you would tell them?
I think I'll tell them, although it might seem very long, although it might seem like it'll never end, eventually it will. Because, it could end, now, or in eternal peace with him, Either way, you're still gonna have peace. And you'll have peace that passes all understanding.
Amen.
I think I would say that it's worth it to keep the fight going. Even though you feel like your efforts are going down every time you like relapse or go through it again, it's worth it to stand up and keep going because God has sees your effort and God is gonna help you through it if you let him.
I would probably say, just remind yourself why you started, simply.
That's good. I'd probably say like kind of relating to like kind of what Caitlin said, just like kind of reminding yourself that there's different seasons in life. And I think something that's helped me when I was going through all of this stuff and like older people were kind of pouring into me a little bit when I was like 12 years old, 14 years old, is they would always tell me just hang in a little longer. Hang in a little longer. Breathe one more day. take it day by day, take it second by second, but just hang on a little longer. Then you're like, okay, I'll hang on a little longer, and then a little longer, and a little longer, and a little longer.
Yeah, like live day by day. Just focus on the present. Yeah, that helps really like stop the stress from the future.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like I get really stressed from the future, and that gives me more like depression. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do with my life in the future? And then I forget that God is the one that's gonna take me through it. So.
Oh yes.
What you said reminded me about like when I was coming to the Lord, which is one of the worst times in my life. And I remember like saying like, I got this far, I'm not gonna go back. So that just popped in there. Like,
Guys, thank you. This has been amazing, and thank you guys for sharing.